What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. And the Chiefs just made a pair of selections on day 2 of the NFL draft to beef up the trenches. A pair of defensive linemen, 2 defensive linemen that I'm pretty excited about. We're going to talk about that right after this. Ladies and gentlemen of the Chiefs Kingdom, after going offensive on day 1 with their first round pick, the Kansas City Chiefs have decided to beef up their defensive line on day 2 with a couple of defensive linemen, 2 that I am actually very excited about. I know when I hopped on here last night to talk about the Chiefs' first-round pick, I was a pretty big skeptic of Josh Simmons. I've been a big skeptic of Josh Simmons throughout this draft process, despite the fact that it always seemed obvious that the Chiefs were going to go that direction. But it is what it is now, and we have to root for it. So I'm rooting for Josh Simmons, but I'm a lot more excited to talk about these picks tonight. Of course, the Chiefs still have one more third-round pick before the end of the night, but I felt it was appropriate, especially given that these two are in the same position group, that I make one video talking about the Chiefs picks that were nearly back-to-back with Omarr Norman-Lott and Ashton, Gilotte. So let's talk about the first one that the Kansas City Chiefs drafted, and that was, of course, Tennessee defensive tackle Omarr Norman-Lott. The Chiefs take him 63rd overall, and it's kind of funny because I was actually at Buffalo Wild Wings with my family watching the NFL draft right before the Chiefs made this pick, and I said out loud to my family, I think it's going to be Omarr Norman-Lott, and that was my guess. I said, I'll do a backflip if it's Omarr Norman-Lott, and of course it was, and so I was super pumped about this pick in real life. Yeah, I mean, Omarr Norman-Lott, the first thing that came to mind when I saw that the Chiefs drafted him was the fact that he is probably the best pure pass rusher at defensive tackle in this entire draft class. That's also backed up by his pass rush win rate. As you can see, defensive lineman Omarr Norman-Lott, 18.9% pass rush win rate in 2024, first among DTs. And yeah, like I said, best pure pass rushing defensive tackle in this entire draft class. I really like what I see from him on film. He's super disruptive. He has pretty good technique. The question is, why didn't he play more at Tennessee? His snap count closer resembled a backup defensive tackle rather than someone you count on from snap to snap. So it's kind of odd why his usage at Tennessee was so low. I mean, maybe it had something to do with NIL and having to keep the promise of other players in that roster. I don't know. To me, that's the only logical explanation as to why he didn't play more, because you turn on the tape and he's just a freak. And I've been saying for years that I want the Kansas City Chiefs to go ahead and take a defensive tackle that is actually a pass rushing threat next to Chris Jones in this lineup. For so long, the Kansas City Chiefs have kind of neglected that pass rushing partner on the interior for Chris Jones. I think Tershawn Wharton kind of became that last season, but of course he signed a big free agent deal with the Carolina Panthers. So the Chiefs had to replace that somehow. And I think they did a really good job trying to do that, selecting Omarr Norman-Lott. This is a guy that I think is going to eat next to Chris Jones, and I really like what the Chiefs have done at defensive tackle this offseason. They brought in Jerry Tillery, who I think is going to be a boost to the pass rush as well. He can also play a little bit of edge. Mike Pennell is back. I mean, you're just in a really good spot at the defensive tackle position, in my opinion, and a better spot than the Chiefs have been in years past. So I'm really excited about this one. It fills a need. The Chiefs definitely needed to come out of this draft class with at least one defensive tackle. They got one. And I love the one that they got. I think he has a lot of upside as a pass rusher. And on pass rushing downs, this just gives you yet another option, a relentless pass rusher that on third down teams are going to have to take seriously. I think Omarr Norman-Lott is going to get a lot of offensive guards problems in the NFL. So that was the first pick of the night for the Kansas City Chiefs tonight. And then just a few picks later at pick 66, the Kansas City Chiefs took Louisville edge Ashton, Gilotte, filling yet another need. I definitely thought that the Kansas City Chiefs needed to come out of this draft with a defensive tackle and an edge, because the edge group has been kind of a low-key weakness, a low-key need for the Chiefs over the past couple of years. I think they were really banking on FAU to take a big step this past season. And I wouldn't say he did that. I thought we saw some marginal improvement, but still not a guy that you're expecting to play 40% of the snaps, just as an arbitrary number. I don't see that from him quite yet. But I also think the Chiefs just needed more juice out on the edge because George Karlaftis and Mike Dana just are not it when it comes to being your starting edge rushers. That's just is not a very good pass rushing group. Charles Menahue, of course, who's back on a 1-year deal. I'm glad to have him back, but at the same time, availability concerns. And overall, you just look at that edge group and they needed just a little bit more. They needed some juice for sure. And I really like the Ashton Gilotte pick because this is someone that's a little bit outside of Spags' thresholds. You can see the size. This is a much smaller edge rusher than the Chiefs typically bring on. This is closer to Joshua Uche than a George Karlaftis. And then on top of that, he's a freak athlete, which for so long I've wanted the Chiefs to do. I mean, you look at that RAS score, that makes him, I think, probably the most athletic edge that the Chiefs have drafted since Steve Spagnuolo has been the defensive coordinator. I know George Karlaftis had a high RAS score as well, but he sort of lacks that bend that the Chiefs need. I think they need a little bit more of a fastball edge rusher, and I think that is what Ashton Gilotte brings to the table, is that fastball that you have now. I think the Chiefs were lacking a fastball and the pass rush, someone that they can go to on those third and longs who can just get to the quarterback in 2 or 3 seconds before they can get that ball out. Because George Karlaftis is a guy that a lot of his sacks come, after 4 seconds, coverage sacks, the play breaks down. And I've always given George credit when the credit is due because I thought he really turned up the heat late last season, but his pass rush win rate wasn't super high. He wasn't winning enough of his reps one-on-one. Ashton Gilotte, I think, has a much higher ceiling when it comes to winning those one-on-ones. And I like it a lot. I like the Chiefs beefing up the defensive line because I thought that was yet again an overlooked weakness in the Super Bowl. Yeah, the offense sucked. Yes, the offensive line sucked, but the Chiefs got their ass kicked in the trenches altogether. Also on defense. I mean, their pass rush wasn't getting any pressure on Jalen Hurts. Their pass rush has been kind of lackluster at times before. I know that when you looked at the sack numbers the past couple years, the Chiefs were always kind of high up in sacks, but you also have to take into account the fact that Spags loves to blitz, and a lot of those sacks come on blitzes. But when you look at that pressure rate, that's what's more important. That is a much better indicator of, that pass rush production along your defensive line. And now when you look at this room, Chris Jones, Jerry Tillery, Omarr Norman-Lott, Ashton Gilotte, FAU, George Karlaftis, Charles Menahue back on a 1-year deal. I love what the Chiefs have a lot more than what they had going into last year. Now with these 2 picks, I think the Chiefs defensive line is set. You may see them take, a high upside guy on day 3 or something like that. But I think for the most part, this defensive line is set and you got a lot of depth. But there is one concern that I have after these 2 selections for the Kansas City Chiefs. There's still some things that I want to see them hit in this draft. But before I talk about that, I want to talk about an app that is coming out, Penalty Verdict. Guys, if you are sick of people blaming the refs for the Kansas City Chiefs' ability to win football games, you're going to want to take a look at this app because it's going to be the perfect tool for you when it comes to football discourse next season. You're going to want to have this app when it comes to discussing officiating.
Whether you're sick of seeing your team constantly get screwed over by the refs, tired of hearing about how your team only wins because of the refs, or simply just desire fair play and accountability, then Penalty Verdict is the perfect app for you. Penalty Verdict is a new app that allows football fans to vote on penalty calls in real time on both NFL and college football games. With Penalty Verdict, you'll be able to engage with a community of football fans who desire accuracy and transparency in officiating. And not only does Penalty Verdict allow you to vote on and discuss penalties in real time, but you'll also have access to data and statistics on specific referees. And you can even see what your favorite team's win-loss record is with that referee heading the crew. You can use this information to make educated guesses on who's going to win each game, and earn even more XP, which can be used to place wagers and climb up leaderboards on Penalty Verdict. Unlock the next dimension of sports by engaging with real-time polling of referees, players, and teams. And lastly, view data-driven insights to have informed discussions about the games. While Penalty Verdict is still in the development phase, we would love to hear your guys' feedback on what features you want to see in the app for next football season. Invite your friends to join and share Penalty Verdict today, and follow Penalty Verdict on social media.
So yeah, guys, you're going to want to check out Penalty Verdict. The link is in my description to go ahead and get on the wait list for that. Also, reach out to Penalty Verdict. Let them know what features you want to see for next football season. But yeah, that's definitely going to be something I utilize. I want to see you guys get on there too. I want to see you guys climbing up those leaderboards, chiming in on the officiating for next football season. But guys, after these two picks, I'm a little bit concerned about what the Chiefs are going to do to address the fact that this offense was extremely anemic last year. I want to see them add a running back and a wide receiver. Brett Veach sounded pretty confident in his pre-draft presser last week that the Chiefs were going to come out of this draft with a wide receiver and a running back. And we're getting later into the draft now. Chiefs still haven't picked one up. Talent is flying off the board. And the other thing that concerns me is you look around the AFC West, the Raiders picked up Ashton Genty and Jack Beck. The Chargers grabbed a running back as well as Trey Harris, the Ole Miss wide receiver, this offseason. And then the Broncos just seem to be stacking up on offense as well with their picks. So, I'm wondering what the Chiefs are going to do to compete to match these teams that are building powerhouses on offense. I'm tired of seeing the Chiefs struggle to hit 24 or 25 points in a game every single week. I want to see this offense get explosive. They definitely need an explosive running back. If they don't get a receiver in this draft, I can understand it since you have Rashee Rice coming back healthy, but damn, does this team need more explosive skilled players? And I'm just kind of wondering when they're going to add one. So that's my only gripe so far in this draft. But I mean, well, besides the Josh Simmons pick, but as far as day two goes, I think the Chiefs have hit a home run so far. Really like the two players they've gotten. Just kind of wondering when they're going to address offense. I'm just kind of impatient like that. I know there's still more rounds to go, but like I said, talent's flying off the board. So I want to see the Chiefs do something. But guys, that's all I have for this video. For those two picks, I want to hear from you guys in the comments what your thoughts are on the Chiefs picking up Omarr Norman-Lott and then Ashton Gilotte in the second and third round. That's all I got for this one, though. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. Make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com, arrowheadaddict.com for more. Last but not least, follow me on Twitter at showmefb. That's all I got. I'll see you all in the next one. And as always, go Chiefs.